Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content.
He used to coach at Utah. Urban Meyer, 17 years as a college football coach, three-time national champion, multiple-time Big Ten champ. We were just talking during I remember when you were at Utah, by the way. I remember you had Alex Smith. You beat Oregon. And you pointed out you beat somebody else that year in the Pac-12. Who was it and who was the quarterback?
Oh, let's see. Oh, yeah. I had this skinny kid named Alex Smith, real skinny, about 185 pounds, 6'4". His legs look like that. And got his first start against Cal Bears. And I looked later on. Obviously, we didn't really know who he was at the time, but some guy by the name of Aaron Rodgers versus Alex Smith. And every time I see Aaron Rodgers, I remind him I'm 1-0 against him, and Alex Smith beat him. And he gets a little upset, but we move on. He's good.
Yeah, I remember those games. All right, well, you've had a lot of different quarterbacks in your career in college and a lot of different personalities. I could go up the line, Chris Leak and a Tim Tebow. And you had Joe Burrow was a backup at some point. He transferred out. You had so many different personalities. Arch Manning's different, though. None of your quarterbacks grew up with American royalty. The Manning family is American football royalty in this country. And he's struggling. And I said the other day I think he needs it. I think all these quarterbacks need to get beat up a little bit because he grew up in a pretty cool life. But I do look at the mechanics, and I think to myself, there's a difference between struggling and losing confidence. Did you ever have a quarterback that you just thought, man, he's lost his fastball upstairs? Because I don't think it's a lack of talent, but when you lose mechanics, you're second-guessing yourself. Did you ever deal that with a young quarterback?
I'm sure I have. I'm trying to think. We were really fortunate. We all the way through Bowling Green, Utah, Florida. Chris Leak was a guy that lost a little confidence because he was not built for our system, so we had to adapt our system. He lost some confidence our first year, but once he got going, and that was on us too as coaches. We had to make sure that he was comfortable, and then he became a national champion. So that's a great point. Early part of 05. One of the best quarterbacks in the country was really struggling with his confidence. And we adapted. We basically let him get very involved in not play calling, but the game planning. So that's a great point. And, maybe now that we're on that topic, maybe that's what they have to do down here in Texas. Say, Arch, you tell us what you want, and we'll call it.
Yeah, I mean, Drew Brees told me that Saturday night before the Saints games, he would go to Sean and say, I don't want to run this play, this play, this play. Sean would say, what are you comfortable with? What aren't you? And he would cross stuff out. And that's Drew Brees.
That's a great point.
Yeah. I said this. I think you and I talked about this, is that the problem on the West Coast is you got to leave the region mostly to get your defensive linemen and a lot of your offensive linemen. You got to go wherever. It could be Houston, Atlanta, the South, the Midwest, wherever. And I look at USC this year, and their defensive line is deep, and it's a bunch of kids, some from California, many not. They have a freshman, I think, from Oklahoma that's playing out of his mind.
Yep.
Urban, they look different up front defensively. They got a kid from Minnesota. They got a kid from Oklahoma. They look different up front defensively.
Well, my last 3 years at Ohio State, we played USC in the Cotton Bowl. We played Washington in the Rose Bowl, and then we also played Oregon for the national title. And they were so dominant with skill that if you could match your skill, you'd win the game. You didn't have to beat their skill because you were going to beat them at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And I remember you actually brought this up to me many times that just there's no fat kids out west. Everybody's in good shape and all that. You need some of those guys from Mississippi and New Orleans and Wisconsin, et cetera, Ohio. And I don't think you look at we did Oregon last week. The Oregon offensive and defense lines when we played them in the national title were about 290 to 295 pounds. Now they're 325. You got USC historically. I'm not talking about the Pete Carroll era because the Matt Leinart, Pete Carroll, Reggie Bush era, they had great linemen. But then they went on a 15-year dry spell where they just didn't have the depth. And I'm watching USC now. They're balanced. They're punching you right in the face on both sides of the ball. This is a completely different looking team.
Yeah, NIL, Oregon, Washington, and USC are going buying players, especially Oregon and USC. They spent a lot of money. So they're leaving the region, buying players, and it's the reality. So Brian Kelly this week, he gets fired up. Now, Brian's a fired up guy. Like, he just is a very good coach, but he's yelling at the media and he's getting feisty. Joel Klatt and I disagreed. Joel said he was sending a message to his team, and I said, no, he was just ticked off. He was, it's okay. But when were there times when you would go to the podium in Gainesville or Columbus and you thought, yeah, we didn't play very well. I'm going to send a message to the team at the podium. Do you ever do that?
I wish I was that smart. I was too emotional. And Brian Kelly might be, and I know Coach Kelly pretty well, and that might be what he was doing. I don't think it was. I think he just left a locker room where we've all, I'm sure you've been there too, a night game at LSU. There's no tougher environment. I know it's his home team, but you lose that game, and it was right on the cusp. If Florida had any offense, it would have been maybe a different ballgame.
Yeah.
And you're in the locker room with your players, and all of a sudden, bam, you got to step up to that podium, and you're pissed off about something that someone asks you. So, yeah, I've been there a bunch, and I think Coach handled it. Someone, I did some other talk with someone. I said, let him go, have a little fun with it. So he got pissed off at a reporter. You're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But he did the right thing. The next day he said, yeah, we got to work together. I apologize. Move on.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So, listen, in college, you get a red shirt. In college, you work your way up the depth chart. But if you get drafted in the first round in the NFL as a quarterback, we want you to play, and we want you to play really early. And I never saw, I looked at J.J. McCarthy. I thought he was much more of a player that needed to almost red shirt as a pro. I didn't think he was ready. I just thought he never played with a trailing. It was a run offense. And I'm like, he needs reps. He needs to get knocked around a little bit. So you faced him, or you didn't, but Ohio State, obviously, he was very successful against the Buckeyes. And you watched film, and you watched all of it, and you watched those games. Tell me about your thoughts about his NFL struggles. What did you think it would look a little ugly and a little choppy early?
I did. I agreed with you that he never had to win a game. Every game that we covered at Big Noon, and I was a big fan of his. I think he managed the game. I thought, anytime you have a guy that can get you out of trouble with his legs, which he can, I never heard him complain. I mean, I was at the game when Penn State against Penn State, where they ran the ball 32 straight times. And they did. Here's the thing about that game. They ran the ball 32 straight times, yet punted. It wasn't like they were blowing them off the ball. They punted 2 or 3 times. So they were just trying to kill the game. And so that tells me they don't have a lot of confidence in throwing the ball right now. So I've never heard him complain. He's a national champion. So I had a lot of respect for him. But, of course, it was going to be bumpy. There's no doubt that it was going to be, and I think he'll still be fine. But I question this: is he that franchise guy that can go win a bunch of games as the quarterback? That still remains to be seen. I think he's a hell of a player, but that's a big task.
Yeah, Dabo Swinney, years ago, Mike Krzyzewski did not like the one and done, and he was funny about it. He said, I didn't like the one and done. I wanted you to go to Duke. And then all of a sudden I started losing to teams that had one and dones. And I said, well, I better do the one and done thing. And he was funny about it. So Dabo doesn't like the transfer portal and the NIL thing. He doesn't like it. And my take is, well, it's not just about paying a bunch of money for stars. That the truth is, if you can get Caleb Downs, go get him. But some of it is you need depth, and you need a third corner, or you need a backup tight end. And so I don't think being stubborn on it makes sense. I mean, teams used to go to the junior college route. I look at the transfer portal a little like the old junior college route, like, hey, we missed on a receiver. We need a slot receiver. Let's go get him from Louisville. Do you think Dabo will come around and go, okay, like Coach K, and go, the world changed. I got to change with it?
There's no doubt he will. And when the transfer portal era started, I was not coaching, but I remember, obviously I'm very close with Ryan Day at Ohio State, and a Big Noon, we cover all these teams. The great teams had very little to no weakness. And I was like, and I remember spending time with Coach Dave about it. He said, it's unbelievable. You know, if you need a right guard after spring practice in the old system, you still needed a right guard in August. That you don't, it wasn't, you just wish a right guard into your program. Now you do. You don't wish them, you pay for them. So I don't think there's any doubt that, first of all, Coach Swinney's won a lot of games. He's a smart guy. I know him well. At some point, I do believe, I think he already did this year. He took some transfers this year. They're easing into it because, I still think they got a hell of a team. For some reason, Klubnik's not playing well. For some reason, their team just, I think they will. I think their schedule is going to lighten up here, and they'll go on a run, and they'll get it figured out.
Final question. You may get mad at me like Brian Kelly with one of those Louisiana reporters. Here's my final question. So this week, I saw Pete Carroll coach Harbaugh, and they had a lot of trouble. He was the Michigan coach or the Ohio State coach. You're not going to be buddies with him, right? Harbaugh is very unique. Like you, he took over a bunch of bad programs, and they were good instantly. And then when he leaves, the teams are bad again. So you guys have the ability to architect a program very quickly. He does feel like in the NFL now, he's chilled out, that he's lightened up. I remember the early Michigan days. He couldn't get along with Michigan people. He didn't even like their AD. Is when you look at Jim and the rivalry you had with him, do you ever smile and go, oh, he's Jim? Or was it just all hammer, nail argument? I mean, was it just all bad? Or was there any moment you two ever shook hands and laughed?
There wasn't. There was. I know his brother fairly well. I met his father many times. A tremendous respect for Coach Harbaugh. But right when he got to the Big Ten, it was like they were doing all this stuff. They were going to Europe. They were going to IMG to have practice. They did something else they did those mini camps all over the place. And, just kept pushing the envelope and then signing with the Stars. And, I mean, it was like one thing after the other. And then, you just kind of like, wait a minute, is there substance here? Or is this all am I going to have to deal with this nonstop? Because my staff's meeting with me and saying a recruit wants to go to Rome now. And I'm like, hey, wait, what? What are you talking about? So, but then, when pedal hit the metal, you have to go play the game. So I think what's happened, I think he's very comfortable in his own skin. I think he's obviously a hell of a football coach. He's absolutely made for what he's doing. So I see the same thing. But no, to answer your question, I have no ill will at all. I mean, we get along fine. The times we were together, we shook hands, smiled, and, hey, how's the family doing? Wish you well, and move on. But that was about it.
Yeah. It's funny because he is.
It's really funny.
It's just, listen, some industries, I just don't expect the president of Apple and Microsoft to be best friends. It's not a real, you can't ask Buckeye Wolverine guy to dine together. Like, it's okay.
So when the Big Ten meetings would start, it'd be, all right, the meeting's at 11 o'clock. We both would come walking in about 11:59 and 54 seconds. And, he'd sit on one side. And it just, I don't know. It's just the way it is. But, when Brady Hoke was there, I've known Brady forever, and we got along great. And so, but that was an interesting, I think just the way he came in. Yeah. How pushing the envelope everywhere. And remember, he went after the SEC a little bit too.
Yes, I did. Yeah. Well, it's great seeing you. That wasn't too tough a question. I just, I didn't, if you yelled at me, it'd have been okay. Like Brian Kelly, you'd apologize tomorrow, and that would have been okay. There we go.
Go Utes.
Go Utes. I like him in that game, by the way. They have beautiful new facilities. When you left, you were kind of doing it with Bondo and Peanut Brittle. They got new facilities now. Have you seen those? Have you seen those babies?
I have. It's spectacular. And we were actually fortunate, and I know the Olympics are coming back here. I came in right after the Olympics, so we had great dorms. We had it wasn't like it is now, but we had a little bit of an advantage when I first got here.
Yeah, that's right. They built the village. I remember that. Absolutely. Urban Meyer, great seeing you, Coach.
Good seeing you, Colin.